Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are we doing this fine Sunday? Never thought I'd say this beautiful weather. It's nice to see it a little cooler. Can handle that a bit. Okay, so we're going to begin with a meditation. So I'm going to invite you just to get comfortable, just to close your eyes and begin to relax and let go. I am home. I am home. My heart is ready to receive. I am home. I am home. My heart is ready to receive. We are home. We are home. Our hearts are ready to receive. We are home. We are home. We are opening. And as we go within to that secret place of the Most High, let us know together that there is only one eternal life before us, and that's God's life, and that is our life, right here and right now. So in your mind's eye, see yourself in the most comfortable place in your own home by yourself. And just get really peaceful. Let go of the day, both after and before, and be in that present moment. Because the point of power is always in the present moment. So I take charge of that, and I accept that. And in the silence of the mind, I know that all the power and control in the world that I need is within me right now. And there's a willingness with me to step aside from my ego and be guided, led, directed, and inspired by the Spirit within. As Emerson said, get my bloated nothingness out of the way. So I invite you to go to that sacred place and just be with Spirit. If your mind wanders, gently just bring it back to that special place in your home, inside of you. And slowly, with that pulsating spirit within, and as I feel it resonating and pulsating, through my entire physical being. I know right here and right now that I am aware of, I'm alert and onto the vibrancy of my life, and know that that point of power is ours in the present moment. And so the total control of our life is here within as we allow ourselves to be guided, led, directed, and inspired. So I am open and receptive to receiving what it is that I need today. And I give thanks. And so it is. My heart is ready to receive the Lord. I am open. My heart is ready to receive the Well, there we go. That should get us ready. Theme for the month of August is Let Go and Let God. And the monthly unity affirmation is I let go and let God guide me to my good. And of course, I've selected the title as Let Go of Control and Trust. You didn't hear control mentioned in any of that, did you? Until I said it in the title, because that's the key, control. But my affirmation to go with this month, if you'd like to maybe jot it down or just hear it, is I am divinely guided, led, directed, and inspired at all times and in all situations. And there we go, folks. If we could get into that being the control statement of our life, the rest becomes relatively easy. But it's just getting into that statement. And you know, one of the things that is important is to really get a handle on this idea about control. So my first point here, and I'm going to give you this point and got 4 little sub ideas to work with. So let go, let God, have faith and trust. We've all heard that, haven't we? Yeah. Well, it's easy to work with it at the mental level. But, and here's the but that negates it, that doesn't do it all. Because one has not only be prepared to do it mentally, one also has to be prepared to do it emotionally. And sometimes there's a conflict when we do it mentally, and then all of a sudden, it's back in my life like a problem. Have you got that special person that you've had to work really hard on forgiving? And then you're walking down the street one day and there they are, and you fill in the blanks. Has that ever happened to anybody? Yeah. And you think, I thought I did the work and let go of them, but it's still there. Well, it's easy to do the mental work when you know the right mental work. It's a whole lot different of a story managing what goes on inside and dealing with the feelings. And we have to understand, just because we declare it doesn't mean we're finished. And not only does that go with the stuff that we do not want, that we want to let go of, it also includes for the stuff that we do want. We have to declare it, but then we got to embody it. Embody it means feeling it and working at believing it. And then it becomes so. And then we become the idea here of the gardener in your daily living, you see. Anybody here ever done any gardening or grown anything? Yeah. And you select the seed, so you got the idea, and you know what it is that you're going to get. So what do? Do you put the seed in and then examine it every day to see how it's going, or to see if it's doing the right thing, or maybe you've got to turn it or adjust it or do it? Does anybody do that? Good, I'm glad, because I'd get you some help if you did. Okay? And why don't we do that? Because the soil knows what it needs to do. Hello, right? And all we do is nurture it, care for it, weed it. And so part of being into the premise of letting go and letting God is to be a gardener in your life. Knowing what it is that you want to plant and what the result is, and then nurturing it and feeding it and plucking out that which is an obstruction. Well, how will you know the difference? Believe me, you will know. You don't have to worry about that. And see, there's that complete trust. You let go of that part of the process, you let God, and you have faith and trust in it, right? And it is basically, on paper, that simple to run our day-to-day life. It is. However, it is a whole lot more difficult remembering that, because it's really easy to get stupid fast. It doesn't take much. Okay? It's really hard to remember doing that, and as Emerson said, we get our bloated nothingness in the way, and that's the ego who wants to be front and center and get all the attention, and not listen to that part of us. That's the spiritual part. So we got to begin to take back the power and control in our life and stop giving it away to people, conditions, circumstances, and things. So one of the ways that we start taking back control, and this is one of the more powerful techniques, and this is the one that's conscious with me on a day-to-day basis, and with Anna. We work with this one day-to-day thing, and for years, and it is a godsend for you, for not disrupting your life. And it's a no. It's no attachment to outcomes. It don't matter what it is. No attachment to outcomes, because when you sow the seeds of what it work you want and that, then ultimately you let it go. And if it happens, that's fine. If it doesn't happen, that's fine too, because there's other reasons. Anybody ever give something to somebody and they kind of spurred you or didn't say thanks, or you found out they gave it away and you're upset with them? Anybody ever been upset like that? You see, that's because we're good people and we think we were giving, but you see, you're really not giving when you got an attachment to the outcome, because the gift that was truly given is given when it leaves the hand. It's none of my business what the person does with it. Absolutely nothing. Zero. If it's my business, then I didn't give and I got the problem. No attachment to outcomes. Well, what about a goal I'm working with? You have a expectation, not an attachment. An expectation is you expect the principle and the law and what you're doing to work. And you have every right to. And if it doesn't quite work out like you had designed it, then I'll tell you, it's actually working out better. You might not see it right away, but it always does. Because I got to tell you, some of the stuff that happened to me, I would not want to go. Like when I went through that burnout and stuff, people say, wow, you got such great learning from it. Wasn't that wonderful? Would you do it again? Hell no, you'd have to be crazy to do something like that to learn again, right? But if it does happen and it's in your plate, you got to deal with it. So we got to let go of that attachment to outcome. Be the gardener in your daily living. And then it's like parenting. It's another way of looking at it, parenting. Anybody had to deal with children or younger kids in your life, nieces, nephews, everybody like that? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what they need to do, or at least you think you do. You know how they need to run your life, or you think you do. Because you know how to do it based on what you did and don't want them to do, or what happened to them, you don't want it to happen to them. Does that sound familiar, or is it just me talking? Yeah. Okay, and you see, that's where the problem comes in, because we try to control it, and we can't. Somewhere along the line, we got to let the children go. Sometimes we got to let people in our life go. Sometimes you have a child that you become estranged with, because that's the right thing to do. Hard, but that's it. And then, this other thing about control, it's really basically an ego-based thing, because spirit doesn't need to be in control because it is everything. It is everything within us. So we have this need to control. How would you like to know the secret of being in control 100%? The way that you got to do it is 100% give up the need to control anything. And just do, as Teddy Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have where you are, and that's it. Because, well, what about this? What about that? Well, you don't have to be concerned about that, because if you're 100% in that position and walking with the faith and the trust of the Spirit, then the Spirit will guide you and direct you and lead you. Well, I want to know this. You see, you got to learn, though, that with the Spirit, you're always on as need to know basis. Sometimes we like to know a month or a day or a week in advance, but that's not how it works. And the scariest part about that is when you've got to stand in it right there and it's happening, and you have no thoughts. You just have to 100% trust that you're going to be given the right thing. Now, I've done that. And I've been there in drastic situations, and it works. But you have to park all your negativity out here. You have to be a vessel. And I found out if you're in a traumatic, terrible situation, like when I was in China surrounded by that gang of 10 guys, the two of us, on a street corner, when you're in that kind of a situation, there's not many options. And so it is easier to actually, if you're aware of this philosophy, to put yourself in a position of emptiness to be guided, led, and directed. Just park your fear. It's actually harder for me to do that in my day-to-day life than it is in that circumstance or situation. Okay? So, a lot of times, tragedy is because we don't get it the other way. We don't get the subtleties of working with it is that we need to know to do, and watching for what it is that we need to know and do. And that's another thing, is watching for the signs. We got to watch. If you want to be guided, led, directed, and inspired, you can't sit back and do nothing. You got to be active. You got to be open. And you've got to be receptive and watching for what it is that's going to be next. I always tell people when I do my program with them that then you'll move on to whatever's next after it's done. Well, what's next? I go, how should I know? I don't even know what's next for me. But I do know it'll come, and you'll know. And it happens every time. You don't have to be concerned about what's next because you're going to know. And if you get your bloated nothingness out of the way, then what's next and what's the right thing is a whole lot easier to do. And that's a little bit tricky. So the other key idea there is embrace peace, harmony, love, and a healthy expectation. And release fear, doubt, worry, and the dread of outcomes. And that, in the meditation, the point of power is a Louise Hay thing. And the point of power in our lives is never later, never tomorrow, never yesterday. It's always right here and right now. So I know that I was going to talk more about this, but Anthony's going to play it anyhow, so I'll just introduce it. The other thing that I love more than everything, and I was going to call him up and actually text him because I really wanted him to play this today, and I walked in and they were rehearsing it. It happens that way all the time. So it's I release and I let go and I let the Spirit run my life. Anybody ever heard that line? Okay, and we're going to hear that. I'm not going to talk about it, but I want you to listen to the words and to get them and to follow them, because that one by Ricky Byers is just dynamite. So I know for myself, as I know for each one here, that I am now focused in on the point of power which is within me, and I now utilize that and allow the ego to talk, but don't allow it to dominate. I allow that spiritual self to come forward and demonstrate the good that's in my life to even be greater. So as I declare it and accept it for myself, I know it to be so for each and every one here, and so it is. And so it is. Whee! Right there, right there.